Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do a little spirit message through bibliomancy from Krishnamurti's Freedom from the Known. Alright, Spirit, what message do you have for the general collective at this time, for whomever it'll resonate for, whenever the time is divine? We have the number 3, and we have the number 9. So 3 and 9 might be significant to you. 39 might be significant. 93 might be significant. 12 might be significant. And 3 might be significant. All right. Chapter 4 or 5. 5 might be significant. Change. Self-concern, craving for position, fears and total fear, fragmentation of thought, and ending fear. Now go ahead and not read the whole chapter. We'll go ahead and do 3 pages since the numbers went down to 3. All right. Before we go any further, I would like to ask you what is your fundamental lasting interest in life? Putting all oblique answers aside and dealing with this question directly and honestly, what would you answer? Do you know? Isn't it yourself? Anyway, that is what most of us would say if we answered truthfully. I am interested in my progress, my job, my family, the little corner in which I live, in getting a better position for myself, more prestige, more power, more domination over others, and so on. I think it would be illogical, wouldn't it, to admit to ourselves that is what most of us are primarily interested in, me first. Some of us would say that it is wrong to be primarily interested in ourselves, but what is wrong about it, except that we seldom decently, honestly admit it? If we do, we are rather ashamed of it. So there it is. One is fundamentally interested in oneself, and for various ideological or traditional reasons, one thinks it's wrong. But what one thinks is irrelevant. Why introduce the factor of its being wrong? That is an idea, a concept. What is a fact is that one is fundamentally and lastingly interested in oneself. You may say that it's more satisfactory to help another than to think about yourself. What is the difference? It is still self-concern. If it gives you greater satisfaction to help others, you are concerned about what will give you greater satisfaction. Why bring any ideological concept into it? Why this double thinking? Why not say, what I really want is satisfaction, whether in sex or in helping others or in becoming a great saint, scientist, or politician? It is the same process, isn't it? Satisfaction in all sorts of ways, subtle and obvious, is what we want. When we say we want freedom, we want it because we think it might be wonderfully satisfying. And the ultimate satisfaction, of course, is this peculiar idea of self-realization. What we are really seeking is a satisfaction in which there is no dissatisfaction at all. Most of us crave the satisfaction of having a position in society because we are afraid of being nobody. Society is so constructed that a citizen who has a position of respect is treated with great courtesy, whereas a man who has no position is kicked around. Everyone in the world wants a position, whether in society, in the family, or to sit on the right hand of God. That this position must be recognized by others, otherwise it's no position at all. We must always sit on the platform. Inwardly, we are all whirlpools of misery and mischief, and therefore to be regarded outwardly as a great figure is very gratifying. This craving for position, for prestige, for power, to be recognized by society as being outstanding in some way, is a wish to dominate others, and this wish to dominate is a form of aggression. The saint who seeks a position in regards to his saintliness is as aggressive as the chicken pecking in the farmyard. I like that comparison. And what is the cause of this aggressiveness? It is fear, isn't it? Fear is one of the greatest problems in life. A mind that is caught in fear lives in confusion, in conflict, and therefore must be violent, distorted, and aggressive. It dare not move away from its own patterns of thinking. and this breeds hypocrisy. Until we are free from fear, climb the highest mountain, invent every kind of God, we will always remain in darkness. Living in such a corrupt, stupid society as we do, with the competitive education we receive which engenders fear, we are all burdened with fears of some kind. And fear is a dreadful thing which warps, twists, and dulls our days. There is physical fear, but that is a response we have inherited from the animals. It is psychological fears we are concerned with here. For when we understand the deep-rooted psychological fears, we will be able to meet the animal fears, whereas to be concerned with the animal fears first will never help us to understand the psychological fears. We are all afraid about something. There is no fear in abstraction. It's always in relation to something. Do you know your own fears? Fear of losing your job, of not having enough food or money, or what your neighbors or the public think about you, or not being a success, or losing your position in society, of being despised or ridiculed, fear of pain and disease, of domination, of never knowing what love is or not being loved, of losing your wife or children, of death, of living in a world that is like death, of utter boredom, of not living up to the image of others have built about you, of losing your faith, all these and innumerable other fears. Do you know your own particular fears? And what do you usually do about them? You run away from them, don't you? Or invent ideas and images to cover them. But to run away from fear is only to increase it. One of the major causes of fear is that we do not want to face ourselves as we are. So as well as the fears themselves, we have to examine the network of escapes we have developed to rid ourselves of them. If the mind, in which is included in the brain, tries to overcome fear, to suppress it, discipline it, control it, translate it into terms of something else, there is friction, there is conflict, and that conflict is a waste of energy. The first thing to ask ourselves, then, is what is fear, and how does it arise? What do we mean by the word fear itself? I'm asking myself, what is fear not? What I am not afraid of. I lead a certain kind of life. I think in a certain pattern. I have certain beliefs and dogmas, and I don't want to lose those patterns of existence to be disturbed because I have my roots in them. I don't want them to be disturbed because the disturbance produces a state of unknowing, and I dislike that. If I am torn away from everything I know and believe, I want to be reasonably certain of the state of things to which I am going. So the brain cells have created a pattern, and those brain cells refuse to create another pattern which may be uncertain. The movement from certainty to uncertainty is what I call fear. At the actual moment as I am sitting here, I am not afraid. I'm not afraid in the present. Nothing is happening to me. Nobody has threatened me or taking anything away from me. But beyond the actual moment, there is a deeper layer in the mind, which is consciously or unconsciously thinking of what might happen in the future, or worrying that something from the past may overtake me. So I'm afraid of the past and of the future. I have divided time into the past and the future. Thought steps in says, be careful, it does not happen again, or be prepared for the future. The future may be dangerous for you. You have got something now, but you may lose it. You may die tomorrow. Your wife may run away. You may lose your job. You may never become famous. You may be lonely. You may want to be quite sure of tomorrow. Now take your own particular form of fear. Look at it. Watch your reactions to it. Can you look at it without any movement of escape, justification, condemnation, or suppression? Can you look at that fear without the word which causes fear? Can you look at death, for instance, without the word which arouses the fear of death? The word itself brings a tremor, doesn't it? As the word love has its own tremor, its own image. Now is the image you have in your mind about death, the memory of so many deaths you have seen, and the associating of yourself with those incidents. Is that an image which is creating fear? Or are you actually afraid of coming to an end, not of the image creating the end? Is the word death causing you fear, or the actual ending? If it is the word or the memory which is causing you fear, then it's not fear at all. You were ill 2 years ago, let us say, and the memory of that pain, that illness remains, and the memory now functioning says, be careful, don't get ill again. So the memory with its association is creating fear, and that is not fear at all, because actually at the moment you have very good health. Thought, which is always old, because thought is the response of memory, and memories are always old. Thought creates in time the feelings that you are afraid, which is not an actual fact. The actual fact is that you are well, but the experience which has remained in the mind as a memory rouses the thought, be careful, don't fall ill again. So we see that thought engenders one kind of fear. But is there fear at all apart from that? Is fear always the result of thought? And if it is there any other form of fear? We are afraid of death, that is, something that is going to happen tomorrow or the day after tomorrow in time. There is a distance between actuality and what will be. Now thought has experienced this state. By observing death, and it says, I am going to die. Thoughts create the fear of death, and if it doesn't, is there any fear at all? Is fear the result of thought? If it is, thought, being always old, fear is always old. As we have said, there is no new thought. If we recognize it, it is already old. So what are we afraid of? Is the repetition of the old, the thought of what has been projecting into the future? Therefore, thought is responsible for fear. This is so you can see it for yourself. When you are confronted with something immediately, there is no fear. It is only when the thought comes in that there is fear. There you go, guys. I could keep going, but it would be very long. I'll end up reading the whole chapter. All right, have a great day.